Because I'm more of a, yeah. That still looks good. Okay. Delicious. Is this working? I guess it is. Let me get a little sip of my drink here. Yeah, it's good. All right. Holy smoke and pie Padre. Woo. Coming back at you on a beautiful June summer evening. Yeah, we're officially in the summer season, folks. Yeah. Okay. I'm smoking. I think this is a Joby. I believe this is a Joby. Let me just double check here. Of course, I could be wrong. I think it is a Joby. Anyway, well, I can't see because it's a little too dark, and I don't have my little magnifying glass. But if memory serves me correct, this is a Joby. And in it, let me tell you, I'm smoking some Dunhill cherry. I've decided that life needs a cherry on top. Yeah, and this definitely satisfies that delicious hankering for some cherry tobacco. Yeah. So the last week I had some visitors coming, and needed to really clean up the house. After the renovation last year, we had just lots of boxes, stuffed into different things. Hold on a second here. I'm going to turn my notifications off. There we go. So I don't get disturbed. There we go. Okay. So we had a lot of just junk, and it was stuffed into all sorts of closets. We have several guest rooms here, and I unfortunately I still have a lot of personal junk. Although, if you came in, you wouldn't see a lot of it because I hide everything in my closets, and a lot of it's pipe-related stuff. I have like 4 banker boxes of pipe tobacco and pipe paraphernalia that I love, and I'm just not able to give up just yet, but someday I'm going to have to give it up. I know that, but for right now, Lord willing, the creek don't rise. I have a little bit of time where I can just kind of enjoy checking out some things. I have unopened tins of tobacco, many gifts from people over the years. God bless you all. That people gave me little Holy Smoke and Pipe Padre, tokens of affection, and so I don't try to open a lot of tobacco unless I'm really going to be dedicating myself to it. I think that's only fair. I don't want to be wasteful. So, long story short, I did a lot of cleanup, and I noticed my pipe racks, which I think I had at the beginning of the video, showed you. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to do a real deep down clean and polish of all these beautiful pipes. The pipe store that did it 10 years ago, they're out of business now, the Briar Patch in Loman Center. Sad to say, they're gone the way of the dodo. And Sean, the guy who was one of their master pipe guys there, he took probably about 4 or 5 months to do my whole collection, but it was well worth the wait. And so I noticed that the pipes were I noticed over the last year or so, they kind of looked kind of white, kind of gray. That's because they were so dusty. Oh my gosh, how embarrassing. So I got a nice cloth and a clean cloth, and I just started dusting them off. And I said, it's still a nice looking collection. It's maybe not the best collection in the world, certainly not the most expensive collection in the world, doesn't have to be, but it's pipes that I loved, and I've smoked every single one of them. Some of them were gifts, some of them were estate pipes, some of them were brand new pipes, so it's a mixture of a real pipe aficionados collection. And so anyway, here you go. I think this pipe here, and I apologize, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in a minute, but I'm recording in 1080p, not 4K. I usually do 4K videos, and so this is going to be probably a little bit on the grainy side, so I apologize. I'll explain that in a minute. But anyway, this pipe here, usually I married it with Sillam's cherry tobacco. Let's see if we can get that up there. Because it has a cherry wood kind of a color to it. I just love the color of this pipe. But anyway, so tonight as I was thinking, well, what am I going to smoke? I said, I got some other bags of tobacco up there, my little shelf up there. And I found the Dunhill bag of cherry. I don't know where it came from. I think it was a gift from a dear friend of mine a couple of years ago, and but I love it. It is good cherry too. Good cherry. Marrying it up with a little blackberry refresher here. So there you have it, pipe pals and gals. That's it. Thanks for watching. Oh, but I have a few things I want to talk about. I want to pipetificate for a little bit, if you don't mind. If you don't mind. So as I said earlier, I am using, well, I haven't told you this yet. I am recording this video in 1080p, and there's a reason for that because of the wonderful things they do. Okay, I'm talking about Apple products again. Yes, I know. I think I'm going to start putting little chapters down there so people can skip through the chapters that they're not interested in, because I'm kind of a Renaissance kind of a guy. I have lots of interests. And of course, many of you have been watching over the years. I'm a big Apple aficionado too, as well as a pipe aficionado. But anyway, so Apple came out 2 weeks ago with their brand new operating software called basically iOS or OS, Mac OS, whatever, 26. And I'll roll a little video of that, I guess. So you've got the new iPhone. I think I'll just play the video. I'll just talk about it as I play the video. It's got that cool little parallax 3D thing going on for your home screen, and you can even apply it to photos you've taken. So it kind of mimics in some ways what the Vision Pro, last year's Apple entry, that didn't do so well. And I think the reason why it just didn't do so well, and I'll be honest with you, the price was just too exorbitant. Absorbent. And there's a guy who made a malaprop on that. Absorbent. It was just too absorbent. But anyway, yeah, I think if I was just thinking about that today, if they had dropped it down to like $19.99 or something like that, $1,999, they probably would have had a lot more takers on that, because that was a great piece of tech hardware, but it was just overpriced. Most average tech enthusiasts like myself, they're not going to spend that kind of money on something that is a first generation, and some would even say it's even a beta version of the whole thing. So a lot of people just begged off, said, no, that ain't for me. But a lot of people that did try it thought it was phenomenal, awesome piece of tech. But so the Vision Pro has this way of trying to, view reality, augmented reality. Excuse me, and so that's what the new operating system, this little feature on the iPhone now in Photos, is trying to emulate or mimic this kind of like this 3D kind of a feel to it. It's almost like the reminiscent of the little ViewMaster those little wonderful little ViewMasters when we were kids, and you got that 3D parallax imagery, and it was just so magical. So now it's amazing that they can do that. It's amazing they can do that. Matter of fact, maybe, hold on a second, I'm going to put my little pipey here, see if I can show you that parallax thing. Come on. Okay, see if we can see the parallax. Yeah, well, the video maybe showed it a little bit better than that. Anyway, so the reason why I'm making this video in 1080p is only because I'm using the newest iPad, the M4 iPad 11-inch, the little one, and I'm using Final Cut Pro on the iPad. And iPads for years, Final Cut Pro for years, going back maybe 15, 17 years when I first started using it, you could actually hook up an external camera and record directly into Final Cut Pro. And I've noticed now that technically you can even do that now on the new software, the new Final Cut Pro for iPad, and now the new iPad iOS 26, and you can directly record into the app. So when you're done, now you don't have to airdrop it or, download it onto your computer. It's already living natively in your in your app. It's already there. You don't have to do any transfer of files, which is nice. So I'm going to try this out. I've been wanting to, my little pea-brained mind of mine kept thinking, well, I want to find a system where if I just want to make a simple video and I don't have to, I have my big recording studio in the back there, and I love it, and it has all my plugins. That's the secret to all my success, is my plugins that do all these fantastic, fun things. But sometimes you just want to make a video like I'm doing right now and just kind of share a few ideas and thoughts, and don't have to really put a lot of production and quality into it. Just make the video, film the video, edit the video, upload the video, and that's what I'm looking to do. Now, again, there's some limitations to everything on the iPad, but now the iPad, one of the big things about the iPad on this new one is they have made it to where it's a lot more, and I'm not going to say it's more like a Mac, because that's a debate that a lot of people kind of get bogged down in. I'm just going to say I think it makes it a little bit more accessible for people when they want to just, do things that are not, they don't have to find the workarounds as much. That's the problem with the iPad. There are a lot of people that love iPads. They produce on iPads. They make music on iPads. They make videos on iPads. They do art on iPads, and God bless them. But if you're coming from a Mac experience, it can be frustrating because it's not the one-on-one parity that we kind of expect. You have a program. This is called Final Cut Pro, but it's Final Cut Pro for the iPad. It's not the same. It's not quite the same. Now, similar, but they're like cousins. They're like distant cousins. They're not even, identical cousins like Patty Duke. That'd be nice if they were. But actually, now with iPad OS 26, it kind of is a little bit more like identical cousins. There's a lot more similarity than there was just a couple of weeks ago. Now, here's the thing, Pipe Pals and Gals. I normally wait till the public beta that comes out, because I'm not technically a developer, but somehow, don't ask me how, don't tell Apple, but I found out that you can download the developer beta, and it was there waiting for me. I just had to I think I had to do turn on a little thing, and and all of a sudden there she was. Do you want to download iPad OS 26 for iPad, developer? And I went, yes, I do. So it's kind of interesting because I'm actually using not just the public beta, which usually when the public beta comes out, it's got a few little unrefined things, maybe a few little bugs, little irritations, but mostly it's pretty close to being fully baked. It's like I'd say a half-baked cake. But the developer beta is kind of very, very risky because it's got, that's why they send it out. They want thousands of, maybe millions of people to test this thing and then report back to Apple and say, well, this app is broken, or this feature on the app doesn't work, or you got this little button or switch, whatever, in the wrong place. Anyway, so the developers who make apps and everything, then they can kind of like clean up these things, fix these things, and then it'll be ready for public release in September when the new iPhones come out. So anyway, like I said, I was able to download, and this is the first time I ever downloaded a developer beta, and I gotta say, so far, I've downloaded it onto one of my older iPhones, I actually got to put the developer beta on my new MacBook Air, the little blue one, the little blue, and so it's doing pretty good there, and then I put it on, I have a little old iMac that I have upstairs, and I even have an iMac Pro, MacBook Pro M1 chip, and I put it on that. And so far I haven't had any real major problems or hiccups. Now, I haven't done this is like the first kind of heavy lifting I've been doing since I downloaded these betas, and just to see how they do. And like I said, I was kind of excited to see that, wow, I could film directly into Final Cut Pro on the iPad, albeit it's 1080p. But we'll see how it works. Okay. Also, you could add your studio quality microphones. I hope that's working too. So we'll just have to wait and see. So there's a lot of new bells and whistles, and it makes it very similar in all respects to the Mac, to Final Cut Pro on the Mac to some extent. But it's, again, not so many workarounds, I don't think. We'll see. I'll just have to wait and see. Now, the only thing that I don't have are all my magical plugins. So they have their own little feature set of little effects and filters and little doodads that you can play around with, and maybe I think like write on something, you can write on the screen and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, all the major third-party plugins that I use are not accessible. Now, I could render this out and then take that file and then put it on my Big Mac, my Mac Pro, and do some fun things there. But I just want to do a simple video tonight, so that's why I'm kind of going a little long on the tech side of this video. And so I apologize to those who are not into tech as much as I am. Okay, so let me fire up the old pipe there, because I am going to do some pipe-tificating. And this cherry is delicious. So, okay, so I covered all that stuff there. So the last couple of weeks have been absolutely, when it comes to current events, absolutely phenomenal, I think, to some extent. I mean, first of all, let's just start off with the one of the ones that it's part of the top 40, I would say, but kind of now it's fading into history because it's an event that happened 2 weeks ago. But 2 weeks ago we celebrated the Army's 250th birthday. Still got that those straight fingers. I love it. I can do a really good salute there. Because unfortunately, when that little finger was like that, I couldn't straighten my hand out. But now that the finger's better, it's still a little stiff, but I can still do now a decent, Marine Corps Army salute. There we go. All right. Happy birthday, United States Army 250. But anyway, so a lot of people were, again, and we're probably gonna delve into the murkiness of Trump derangement syndrome and I guess anti-Americanism, because that's what we see kind of playing out on our streets and on our TVs these days. But apparently, it was all about, Adolf Trump, and he wanted to do one of these, kind of like Russia or Nazi parades or, Russian parades, communist parades. Although it looks like New York's going communist, so they might love communist parades now. I don't know. But again, nothing could be further from the truth. That's not what it was about. It was about the Army's 250th birthday, not about And they mentioned in passing that it was President Trump's 79th birthday, I think it was or is. And so what? It's a coincidence, but it wasn't for him to grandize himself, like the Soviet leaders and watching all of the rows and rows of military hardware. I mean, they showed the soldiers, and a lot of it was historical. A lot of it was historical. They had the historical uniforms from starting off in the Revolutionary War, going all the way up to Iraqi freedom, I guess, or I don't know all the names of the recent conflicts now. I'm kind of ashamed to say that. But basically all of our engagements in Afghanistan and Iraq, and now to even include Iran. So anyway, that was one of the things that I wanted to. I made a video a week ago, and but right after last Saturday, I think I made the video last Thursday, in fact. And I was talked about a lot of things I'm going to talk about, but unfortunately history changed with the whole thing with Iran and the bombing of the nuclear facilities. I think Israel, I wasn't sure. I think maybe Israel had already done a couple of strikes on those facilities. But we hadn't certainly dropped the bunker buster, the mother of all bombs type things on those facilities as of yet. So I thought, well, I'm going to make this video. I might as well keep it more current. That's why I'm redoing it. Okay. And also trying to test it out, as I said earlier, on the iPad. I don't know. Now I will be exercising my First Amendment rights and just saying that, I have to say that although I support in some ways, again, this isn't quite a black and white thing, because if Iran was going to get a nuclear weapon, again, it's not like another industrial, first world or second world country, although Iran's very sophisticated. I mean, you look at all the beautiful pictures of their infrastructure. They have beautiful cities and homes, and but so they're not like it wasn't like Afghanistan. I guess I'll say that. They were very cosmopolitan, metropolitan. But the thing is that they have said over and over and over again, they have equated the U.S. as the great Satan and Israel as the little Satan, and they believe that we should be eliminated. Okay, so if your neighbor who you knew didn't like you, and all of a sudden he has a Gatling gun or more of a chain gun, and he wants to take you out, and he said, if I ever get the opportunity to take you out, I'm going to do it, I think you would probably take him seriously, And so dropping these ordinances on these targets to eliminate them, I'm hoping that we defanged a very big serpent, or defanged a bully. Took this big stick out of their hand so they can't hurt us. But again, it could be that we maybe poked a hornet's nest too. I don't know. I don't think that Iran has the capability now. With the exception of sleeper cells, and we don't know, a lot of people are speculating that a lot of the terrorists were able to, without any hindrance, be able to cross our border during the Biden administration. So I'm sure that there will be some reprisals, but from sleeper terrorist cells. I'm afraid that will probably happen. But as far as Iran launching an intercontinental ballistic missile attack on the United States, I don't think that's likely. And I certainly hope that that doesn't happen. They even tried to, I guess, launch a missile strike on some of the American bases, and they were all, I think, eliminated before they hit their targets. Thanks be to God. So, I don't think they have the capability now to truly launch some kind of an invasion against our country or attack our country through ICBMs. I don't think that's a real possibility. Of course, we could be wrong. They might have more special secret weapons. We just don't know. But it looks like, for all intents and purposes, we did successfully eliminate their abilities for now to build fissionable nuclear material and weaponize it. So we'll see. Again, that doesn't mean that you can't start all over again from scratch. And, it's sort of like if you busted up a computer, like, now they can't get on the internet. Well, no, they'll find another way to do it, and probably in record time. So it's just a matter of time before they, begin production on some other weapons of mass destruction. We don't know. But unfortunately, I have to say, in going through the Iraqi thing, Saddam has these weapons of mass destruction, and unfortunately, they didn't quite find those weapons of mass destruction when they went in there, and so the reason for going in there evaporated, I think. Again, I'm not here to criticize the military. Again, Saddam Hussein was still a crazy guy like Gaddafi in Libya, so maybe the world's a little bit better place with these gentlemen no longer breathing. I don't know. But again, I'm not criticizing the military. They did their job. They did a great job. But it always seems like when we do commit our troops, we always hamper them. We handcuff them. We don't let them win the war. We frustrate them by giving them all these arbitrary rules that do not help them to succeed in their mission. Their original mission is to engage with the enemy and destroy the enemy. So again, I don't believe, certainly don't believe in mass genocide. I think that's one of the strong critiques against Israel, is that, in the Gaza thing, and I guess now even in Iran, they just don't have any mercy. It just seems like, and again, I can understand, I'm not making excuses, I can understand that, you're this little country and everybody wants to basically annihilate you. So you've got to take out the threat as best you can and totally eliminate it. You don't want to leave any burning embers, because it can flare up again. I understand that, but again, the other thing is you don't want to just sanction mass killing and genocide. Then you become it's just as bad as the other person. It's just that you're right now you're winning. Anyway, so I thought that it was important that I probably address that and just, talk about that in my video. So that's why I'm making a new one here. And then, of course, we got the wonderful LA riots and the riots in Seattle and Portland and New York and God, God bless all these people. But I gotta say that I think, and I could be wrong, but I think when I look at the riots now, again, sad to say, there are some people in this who live in this country who really don't want to be Americans. They just want to live in America. And we saw a lot of that in LA with the people waving the Mexican flag. I had a couple of questions on that one. Well, if they love Mexico so much, why don't they go back to Mexico? If they hate America that much, then go back to America. I mean, go back to Central America, go back to Mexico. But to me, that's almost like kind of like it's a very provocative. It's in many ways, it's like an invasion force. It's like kind of like the Alamo all over again. I mean, if you're going to be waving a different country's flag in a violent uprising, invasion, again, I have no problems with honest, hardworking, people who come here and they're here legally. They can be here on a worker visa, green card, they can be here, and it's fine. I have no problems at all with anybody that's coming here that wants to be here legally. They want to do it right. There's a lot of immigrants who have come here legally, and they've gone through the process. Now, I will say this, again, just like I said on the Iran and Iraq thing, there's two sides to every story. And I think the one thing is that, we didn't help people. We gave them money and things like that for food and utility bills and things like that, but we didn't help them where it really counted. We didn't help them become citizens. I mean, the ones that wanted to become citizens, we should have been, especially I think the Catholics, us Catholics, we should have been, at least the diocese, instead of just giving them handouts, to help them pay their electric bill and all that kind of thing. They should have been helping them on a road, on a path to citizenship. Because everybody wins when you do that. Because then when a person becomes a citizen, they're no longer can be exploited by their own people. A lot of times, these people, they come in quietly. You never know. You don't know they're really there because most of them, I'd say 90%, are hardworking, quiet people. They're just trying to live their lives. I understand that. But unfortunately, in a lot of neighborhoods, there are the other Mexicans that maybe they are here legally or maybe even illegally or whatever. And they're kind of like the kingpin, they're kind of like the jefe, the grand jefe. And you kind of have to play their game or else they're going to report you and have you deported. So you have to probably, whatever you make every week or every month, you got to give them a little kickback so they don't report you. They don't turn you in. So again, see, that's one of the dark sides of this illegal migrants because they have their own. They have their own system. It's kind of like being in a prison. A lot of people don't know that there's a prison culture, and they've got, you have the guards and you have the wardens and all that stuff, but then there's the real deal with the real prisoners, and then they are the ones calling the shots. And they have their own hierarchy. They have their own source of justice. They only have their own rules and laws, their own unspoken rules and laws, but those are real, and you don't want to ever find out that you've made a mistake, you've transgressed, because you will pay an ugly price for that. Maybe you have to lose your life. Oh, that's one of the things I want to talk about. Prisoners and crime. I talked, I think, on my last video that I uploaded, I talked a little bit about the Michael Peterson case there in North Carolina. And, a lot of people, and I'm, one of millions, I'm sure, who really struggle. And especially if you saw the documentary, not the movie, the HBO movie, which was loosely based on the documentary. Documentary is like 12 hours long. But one of the things that had bothered me for years, I've been watching this thing for several years now, and the thing that really bothered me about Michael Peterson was, you'd watch it. Now, the guy's got, I gotta tell you, he's kind of got a little bit of charisma there in his own way. He smokes a pipe, and he listens to classical music, and he's kind of very urbane, and very sophisticated, and he writes novels, military novels, and so, I kept trying to figure out, well, why did he come off spewing my embers? I don't like that. When you try and talk with a pipe, I know some of the guys on the channel, won't mention names because I don't want to embarrass them, but they're famous for talking with a pipe in their mouth, and they just do it. They do it so wonderfully. I just wish I could do that. I spew ashes and ember everywhere. But so I think the thing about Michael Peterson, and it finally hit me just the other morning. I kept saying, although it looks like the evidence points to the fact that he didn't murder his wife. Now, some people out there who are watching, what do you mean he didn't murder? She's dead. Yes, Kathleen is dead, and sad to say that she's dead. But there's no physical evidence tying him to actually killing her. Now the latest theory was the owl theory. If you're interested in that, look it up. But it's very fascinating because it looks very plausible. I'll say that. I don't know if anybody has debunked that. And there might be some people that want to say, well, that's fantasy. That didn't happen. But they show that it's very possible and likely that it probably did happen. These barn owls or barred owls, you know, in North Carolina, they do their nesting during the winter. You know, in North Carolina, it's not like here or Minnesota or Chicago or whatever. You know, really severe winters. They're pretty mild winters, but still, they're wintertime. And so they do their mating and nesting in that time period. And apparently, it is very plausible that she was attacked. And you look at the lacerations on the back of her scalp. They look like talon scratches. They don't look like somebody beat you with it. You know, they look like scratches, you know, like a talon, you know. So, but here's the thing. I always thought, well, the reason why Peterson has this awkwardness about him, you know, I think there's some genuineness that he did love Kathleen. They had, for the most part, a pretty good marriage. I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect marriage, okay? Not that I speak from personal experience, really, but the thing is that what I'm trying to say is that, if you find a perfect marriage, let me know. You know, I'd like to know. I'd like to see what it looks like, okay? Because most people that I know, the husbands and wives, they quarrel, they fight. I mean, it's all how you fight, you know. And as long as you're not, you know, bringing 6 guns to a knife fight, I guess it's okay, you know. And most couples learn how to fight fairly, and they learn how to make up. Okay, great. So the thing is that I kept thinking, well, okay. Aside from the fact that I kind of am sympathetic to Michael Peterson, he reminds me of some people that I know that I like. They're kind of, you know, head people, they're intellectual people, you know, but they can be kind of charming and at the same time, but there's a little bit of a distance there. There's a little bit of a disconnect, okay? And so I kept thinking, okay, well, the reason why he comes across as kind of awkward and guilty is because of the bisexual thing. I thought, well, okay, that explains his guiltiness, okay? But, pipe pals and gals, I think I figured it out. I could be totally wrong, but I'm going to tell you what I think. It literally came to me like I was about 3 mornings ago. I kept saying, why is Michael Peterson guilty? I mean, why does he appear? Why does he have this? He wears this like a little thin layer of guilt, you know, kind of like the dog that, you know, peed in your. You know, have you ever come home and your dog is acting guilty? You don't know until you find it, but he's done something and he's acting guilty. You haven't figured out what it is yet until you maybe walk in a puddle of pee-pee, or you turn and you step your foot into a big pile of poop. You know, you go, oh, that's why this dog's acting kind of nervous and guilty, because they did something. Or maybe they broke something, okay? That could happen to her. They chewed up something. But it's always funny that when an animal, you know, they have this sense of guilt, you don't know what they did, but you know they did something wrong and just haven't figured out what it was. Well, this is what happened with me, I think, the other morning with Michael Peterson. And, okay, so the reason why he's guilty is because he is guilty. Now, I know that sounds like a circular, like, what are you talking about? Okay, I'm not saying, again, he's not guilty for killing Kathleen, but he is guilty for letting her die. I think that's how I figured it out. And if you watch the movie and you watch the documentary on Netflix, it's still up there, I think, you'll know what I'm talking about. I think that what happened was they had a fight, possibly over money. Probably more likely it was over money. She was the breadwinner, and he was kind of a ne'er-do-well author. I guess he wrote a few books, and he was hoping to get one of them into a movie. But I think that there was a lot of money problems, and she was just tired of it. And I think what happened was that they had an argument, a very bitter, emotionally draining, you know, argument. And she did go up the stairs. She did fall. But when it came time to help, you know, calling 911 and getting her the emergency she needed at the time, this was my conjecture, I think he allowed her to die. He didn't kill her outright, but he didn't do everything he could to truly save her. That's why there's that layer of guilt. And it's very subtle. It's very subtle. And I think that, to me, that's what really makes sense, is that, he didn't bludgeon her to death, and he didn't, well, I guess they even said maybe she had a broken collarbone or something that might have indicated strangling. Yeah, I don't think that's what he did. I think that she slipped, fell, hurt herself severely, and he probably thought, well, sorry, hon, after that big fight, I don't know if I really want to go to the effort of getting you saved here, and I think he just kind of let her die. I think that's it. I think he let her die. He didn't kill her outright, but he let her die. And that's why there's that layer of guilt there. So anyway, that's my conjecture. Let me know what you think. If you're kind of a fan of crime drama and true crime, let me know what you think. But that was a very fascinating video documentary series about the Michael Peterson case. So anyway, I wanted to get back real quick. I got a few more minutes, and then I'm going to try to put this together and upload it maybe tomorrow. I won't be able to do it tonight. It's getting a little late. But I think about the riots that are going on, and I kind of question. I think there's a lot of components to this. Okay, the police basically, and I'm not advocating for them to use, deadly force. But in times past, in other times when there was revolutions and rioting, there was en masse shooting and killing, okay? Think about the Russian Revolution, and the first time they tried to assault the Tsar's troops, the troops gunned them down. Of course, that caused more outrage, of course, helped their cause, but again, those people knew that if they tangled with the Tsar's troops, they were likely going to be hurt or killed. There was no question about that. And usually in any revolution, there's going to be destruction and death. But in our day and age, we don't do destruction and death the way they used to do. So people can walk up and spit on a police officer. They might take you down to the ground, and you may not enjoy that. You might get a pepper ball in your family jewels. You might get sprayed with some tear gas or something. It's going to be unpleasant, but basically you can go and poke the bear, and the bear's not going to kill you or eat you at this point in time. And I think that the kids, and again, you look at they're riding motor razor scooters around, little figure eights, and they're got their little masks on, and they're it's like silly string, or they're doing, now some of them are throwing some pretty heavy stuff, chunks of concrete and frozen water bottles, and cans of soup and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that could definitely kill you if that hit a police officer square in the head, the temple, they're dead. Okay, so anyway, they but the thing is that I think, and I'd say the majority, maybe not. Okay, there are probably some who are really politically motivated. They are really amped up politically. They really have a cause here. But I got to be honest with you, I think 70% of these people, maybe a little bit lower, maybe 60%, it's entertainment for these young people. What else are you going to do on a summer's evening? Well, let's go down and harass the cops. That sounds like fun, And it's just that's where it's at. I think that for most of them, it's just, I got to go and poke the bear. Look what a badass I am, kind of thing. And I think that that's kind of the allure for the majority of them. Now, like I said, there are some that are Antifa types. They are true anarchists. They want to burn this country down. Maybe there are some people who are passionate, about their ethnicity. They think that this is all against them because they're brown people. Nothing can be further from the truth. It's your illegal people, not brown people. Okay, it has nothing to do with it. Now they're saying, they're going to be arresting the rest of us soon and putting us in concentration camps and blah, 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 blah. So Okay, and if you believe that, I am very sorry for you, because that is not what's happening. But again, unfortunately, what you see on the news and some of these independent guys and gals that go out there and try to, I'm a little worried about a couple of them, because they're very nice people, and I'm afraid that somebody's going to hand them their lunch, because some of them are very violent, and they can get away with it. I guess the one guy shot somebody and thought he was going to get away with murder, and of course he didn't. But these people are violent. Don't make a mistake about that. Many of them are very violent, and they want to be violent. But I think a lot of them just want to taunt the police, and they want to be part of this is exciting. This is fun for the majority of them. So I think eventually it may we'll have to see how the summer goes. But eventually I think that it will probably find a calmer level in the next few weeks. I wouldn't say it's totally will die down. Again, there's certainly going to be protesting. And again, protest is a part of our DNA as a country. You have every right to protest, okay? But you don't have a right to be violent. You don't have a right to riot. There's no constitutional right to riot. And when this breaks into riot like they did the first couple of days when they were dropping cement blocks on cop cars, the CHP cars, and burning them up and burning all these other vehicles, and just this mayhem, this craziness, the police showed a lot of restraint. And I think also, again, part of this is part of the problem of our politics here in the Golden State, is that we have a governor and the mayor of LA who do not want to use their authority or their power to quell these things, because they know that for a certain group in LA it's going to be unpopular. But at the same time, you've got, like I said, you have a demographic of, you have some people who maybe feel oppressed, that, hey, why are you picking on me now? Is it because of my skin? No, it's because of your legal status, and we're going to have to ask you to go home, okay? And we're going to help you go home. But the other percentage are just, okay, I'd say there's, again, maybe 10% anarchists, true anarchists. So say if that's 40%. So again, it goes back to 60% are just curious people. Let's face it, if there was some kind of a commotion going on in your city and you were a few blocks away and you could drive there or walk there, 9 times out of 10, you'd probably say, well, I'm going to check this out. What's going on downtown, It's just human nature, part of it's curiosity. And then part of it, I think, maybe 5%, 10% are onlookers. They're not really there to protest or even riot. They're just kind of looking. They're looky-loos. So maybe that's 10% looky-loos. So maybe 50% are, just the kids, the young people that just want to have a good time on a Friday night or Saturday night. They're looking for some kicks. They're looking for some thrills, okay? And then, it's like, oh, man, then you can go home and tell your homies that, oh, yeah, I got on that policeman's face and I told him he was a fascist pig and he was a Nazi, and, man, I feel great. Okay, all right, okay, fine. But God bless our men and women of law enforcement. I mean, talk about patience. I mean, oh, man, there were, now I got to say, there's been a couple of them that did stupid things and won some stupid prizes. The couple of these gals that were trying to stop one of the Fed vans from driving either in or out. I don't know what it was. And they were like trying to play like Superman, I'm going to stop this vehicle. This one gal thinks she got a big slice of reality pie because the van just very slowly, but it kept speeding up to, and then all of a sudden she lost her balance. She tripped and she fell down. Luckily, she didn't get totally run over. I mean, she got her legs run over, and I guess they broke her legs, at least one of them. But again, that's kind of stupid. I mean, I wouldn't do that. I mean, who do you think you are? So again, but these police officers are very, very patient, very professional. Got to give them another salute there to our fine men and women in law enforcement. The only problem is that I think the LAPD right now is hampered politically by Karen Bass, who has her head up her. Okay, so you heard it here first, folks. just completely inept. This is the same Karen Bass, by the way, that brought you the Palisade fires, who thought it was more important, her and her little fire chief, more important to celebrate diversity and gay pride than having water in the reservoirs ready for a potential fire. Water? What's so important about water? That's not important. That's not our priority. Our priority is marching and pride parades. Okay, there you have it. Boy, the only thing about this pipe is it's very narrow. You can probably see that. It's very narrow. And the well is very, it tapers down really, so there's not much left. And I've only puffed on this maybe off and on for, 45 minutes, so it's almost gone. Yes. Dunhill cherry. Delicious. So anyway, Pipe Pals, I kind of coming to the end of most of my videos. They're about 55 minutes. And so I'm getting really close, put the landing gear down and heading in for the final touchdown here, final approach. So was there anything else here I didn't cover? Okay, I think I talked about that. I think I've talked about just about everything on my little list. Made a list, checking it twice, find out who's naughty and nice. So I hope you're all doing well out there in Pipeland, YouTube Pipeland, and hope you're having a pretty good summer. I think, of course, summer kind of started officially back on Memorial Day, but I guess we actually celebrate, or we kind of acknowledge that the 4th of July weekend is the real big, maybe it's kind of like the climax of summer. I guess that's more accurate to say it like that, because it kind of starts at Memorial Day and it goes up to 4th of July, and then we close everything out on, of course, Labor Day, which is, believe it or not, it's hard to explain. I mean, if you live in a Four Seasons environment like we do, now the other day, last Saturday, we had all four seasons in one day. That was incredible. We had snow, sleet, rain, wind, then we had warm temperatures, and then we had back to kind of a mild summer, spring day. It was crazy. And we had some boats capsized down at the south of the lake, actually about 14 miles down from here, actually, not even all the way down in South Shore. And I think 6 people died. It was sad, very, very sad. But, white squall, it was an actual white squall, and, white squalls are very dangerous. Just ask anybody who lives near the Great Lakes. They'll tell you. Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? I think I have exhausted everything I wanted to talk about tonight. And I have a little bit of tobacco at the very bottom of my little Joby pipe here, so I'm going to light it one more time. And simply wish you all a happy evening, a blessed evening, and light up your world, light up your pipe, and we'll see you all in the next one. Take care now.